All right, let's dive in. We're going to tackle one of the biggest challenges out there in tech today. How in the world do we make sense of this massive, massive wave of data that's basically powering everything? Let's get into it.
You know that feeling, right? How does your streaming service just nail that movie recommendation? Or how does that online store suggest the perfect thing you didn't even know you were looking for? It feels a little like magic, doesn't it? But it's something way more interesting than that.
That's right. When you get right down to it, making sense of all this big data is really just like following a super complex, multi-stage recipe. You start with a bunch of raw ingredients, and you end up with something perfectly crafted.
So, to understand the recipe, we've got to check out the kitchen first. And let me tell you, this is a kitchen unlike any other. It is just overflowing with raw information coming from everywhere. Social media, sensors, logs, you name it.
You know, this quote from Google's Peter Norvig just hits the nail on the head. A lot of the time, the secret sauce isn't some crazy new algorithm. It's the unbelievable amount of data we can feed into the old ones. More ingredients mean you can make a much, much richer dish.
But here's the catch. Most of these ingredients, they're a complete mess. I mean, thanks to things like social media, videos, and all that sensor data, something like 95% of all digital info is unstructured. It's not sitting in a nice, neat database. So, taming that chaos, that's the real challenge our recipe has to solve.
So our recipe really has two main parts. First up, you've got data integration. That's like gathering all your raw ingredients from all these different farms and suppliers. And then, second, you have data transformation. This is where the real prep work happens in the kitchen. You know, the washing, the chopping, measuring everything out to get it ready to cook.
Okay, let's start with step one, integration. This is all about getting the data from wherever it's being made into one central place where our chefs, our data scientists, and algorithms can actually work their magic.
This really breaks down the two main ways we get data in the door. You've got batch ingestion, which is kind of like a scheduled grocery delivery. Think daily sales reports showing up at the same time every night. Then you have streaming ingestion, which is this constant flow, like a garden hose that's always on, pouring in data from social media or live sensors. Both are totally crucial, just for different kinds of recipes.
And to handle all this coming in, engineers use these really specialized tools. So for example, Kafka's built for those high-speed, real-time streams, like a fire hose of data, while something like Flume is great for just collecting log files. Just think of them as different kinds of delivery trucks, each one designed for a specific type of ingredient.
Now, kitchens can be laid out in a couple of different ways. The old school way was ETL, extract, transform, then load. You'd prep all the ingredients before you put them in the pantry. But with big data, we often do it the other way around. ELT, extract, load, then transform. We basically just dump everything raw into a giant data lake first. And this is way more flexible because our modern tools are so powerful, we can figure out how to prep the data later depending on what recipe we feel like making that day.
So once all our ingredients are in the kitchen, it's time for maybe the most critical part of all, the prep work. This is data transformation. This is where we turn total chaos into pure quality. I mean, raw data is just messy. It's full of typos, missing information, all kinds of inconsistent formats. You can't just throw that into a sensitive algorithm. No way. You have to clean it all up first. So the very first step is data cleansing. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It's like washing your vegetables, cutting off any bad spots. It's all about fixing or just flat out removing incorrect, duplicated, or incomplete data to make sure your final dish isn't, well, garbage.
Next up is a key step, especially for machine learning. It's called normalization. Just imagine a recipe where one ingredient is measured in tiny grams, but another is measured in pounds. The proportions would be a total disaster. Normalization basically converts all your numbers to a common scale, making sure every single ingredient has the right amount of influence on the final flavor.
Now, for messy stuff like text, the prep gets even more interesting. There's a process called feature extraction. I know this code might look a little intimidating, but trust me, it's just another part of the recipe. Its entire job is to turn words into a set of numbers that an AI can actually understand. It is literally turning language into ingredients our model can measure and cook with.
Okay, so we've gathered and prepped all our ingredients with all this incredible care. We've integrated our data, we've transformed it. So what? I mean, what's the amazing dish we get at the end of all this?
What is the actual real-world value of all this painstaking data cuisine? Well, the results are all around you, and they are absolutely massive.
Take a look at this number, 1/3. What do you think that represents? It's estimated that a third of all sales on Amazon come directly from its recommendation engine. That entire system, that multi-billion-dollar business driver, is one giant finished dish made from the perfectly integrated and transformed data of millions of us. That's the payoff. And it's not just retail. Think about fraud detection systems sifting through transactions in real time, or personalized medicine tailoring treatments based on our own unique genetic data. These are all incredibly high-stakes dishes that depend on this exact same meticulous preparation.
And this right here shows you exactly why all that quality matters. It's simple, really. As the amount and the quality of your data go up, the performance of your models gets better and better. With simple data, sure, you can build a simple network. But with huge amounts of high-quality, perfectly prepped data, you can build these much deeper, way more complex networks that get incredible results. Better ingredients, better dish. Simple as that.
So there you have it. We've gone on this whole journey from a chaotic kitchen full of raw information all the way to a valuable, finished product that can predict what you want to buy or watch or listen to next.
If you take away just one thing today, let it be this right here. Data integration is all about the logistics, getting all the raw goods delivered. Data transformation, that's the culinary art, turning all those raw goods into something useful and delicious. You absolutely have to have both.
We've seen how these data recipes are already reshaping pretty much everything: commerce, healthcare, entertainment. So the question now isn't if we're going to use them, but what new, world-changing insights we're going to decide to cook up next. Thanks for tuning in.